I don't know if I want to out it that much. Okay, well, all right. So when I was doing a certain type of training,
Sure.
okay, the person that was leading the group was way more charismatic. Okay, but we would often meet before, and then that person would pick my brain, and I would explain a philosophical idea to them. Right? We'd like brainstorm. It's like what is the mind? All right, let's just use a like very spiritual example. It's like, what is the mind of no mind? And then we'd have like a whole discussion about it. And I'd be like, oh, it's actually, if you logically look at it, it's more like this. Da, 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 da. And then I noticed what I thought was, I was like, oh, you're testing me to see if I understand the concept. So I was like, I was showing you in multiple different ways through different examples, like I understand this concept, you know what I mean? And then I noticed that my examples and my thought process was what was getting taught. And I was like, oh, I was on the right path. It wasn't until later did I realize that you were just like hijacking my thoughts and then just not hijacking, like outright stealing my thoughts and then presenting them as like, this is the way. And then people were like, oh, this is so genius. And I'm like, looking back now, wait a minute, the message was the exact same. I came up with the message, but the messenger is what they coveted. Let me just wear some beads. Let me grow my hair long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, that's what it is, though. It's the exact same thing as like business people, right? You'll listen to like, I want you to be successful. We're going to build your goals. We're going to do all this, right? And when I was listening to the podcast, I was like, why don't I just read the book, right? But because they didn't give any steps. So I was like, okay, I understand. Yes, you're motivating me to like go out of my way and like become this better version of myself, but you gave me no steps. So I'm like, that's me getting caught in the messenger. I'm like, you know what you're talking about. Let me just get on the hook for $9.95 per month. And like, blah, blah, blah. But like, you didn't give me anything tangible. Right? For me, logically, I was like, well, what are this? I don't care. Yeah, sure. I get what you're saying, but like, how do I actualize this? Right? And that's where I think all of that to say, like, that's like a long way about it, but just to get to the concept of it is, this is the idea of herd mentality. And I noticed it more and more as like, I look at other people and it's like, well, what have you done though? You know, and even the people that we think are authority figures, my best example, I just saw it on social media. You know Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Yeah, I've seen all
He's
those.
super broke now. Yeah. So what happened to you being an authority figure, bro? I thought you knew. You're the one who sold us this book on how to get rich, whatever, but now you're broke? Make no sense. Right? So I'm like, so how did we position you as an authority figure? We thought you had the answer. Turns out you weren't even listening to your own lessons.
Right.
But the person who listened to lessons isn't doing a podcast. The person who listened to lessons is like in Hawaii or something. They read the book. They're like, yeah, you're right. All right, cool. I'm just going to go do this. Right?
Sure.
This is my conundrum.
It's hard to, it depends, right? Because
you see what I mean, right? This is my brain teaser.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, just even that thing too, right? Just because someone wrote a book doesn't mean that they know everything what they're talking about.
Exactly. Yes, and 100%. And
you can really only know. I feel. I mean, that's you just have to do it yourself and you figuring it out. But you can't if you go out there. I don't know. You just being an authority figure then just adds other things to it. I don't know if I think that's the issue here, where we just maybe we as humans just fall to the prey of it's a person, right? We what's the word, like, put them on a totem pole or whatever, right? Yeah, on a pedestal. Yeah, it's just the normal. It seems like we always been doing that, like as a species.
Right. For sure. And I think that it's commercialization again.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Get ready for this. Right. So I think that we need to put you on a pedestal because that's how you make your money. So if you make your money as a business consultant, right, then you need us to put you on a pedestal. So you have to create some sort of weird disconnect. Okay. And I've noticed this okay, with like my own training, right? Remember we kept talking about like the commercialization of the art, right? So like if I need you to make to give me money for something, I need to make it as easy as possible. I need to let you think I have all the answers. I need to market myself as like your solution to life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whereas people who are not making their money off of the thing that they're teaching, they are able to be like, take it or leave it. This is the truth.
True. Yeah.
Okay. So not even talking about martial arts now. Jeremy Corbell, he just put out the alien doc on Tubi, right? I was telling you about it,
Mm-hmm.
the UFO revolution. And in that, he talks about how he makes his money. And he's like, I made it through investments. I have properties. I don't make any. I'm on this talk show. Right? I was just watching him on Steve-O, and he's like, I don't get paid for these appearances. And Steve-O was kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
don't say that. You know what I mean? Like, but it's the interesting truth about all of the media runs,
Yeah.
right? If you look at right, like if you go to a press junket, something like that, you don't get paid for those moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like the back end money, the reason why they give you millions of dollars an actor is because you know you have to go do those like
Sure. Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it's contracted in your thing, right? It's like a part of this money, aside from acting, is also to promote the film,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you don't make it about the commercialization, like if Jeremy Corbell doesn't make money off of the UFO docs, then he could put out the truth. It's like, hey man, take it or leave it. This is the truth, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we get skewed. It's like, is it money that makes us an authority figure? Or is it the way we live our lives? And then this is my differentiation point. Because when I was listening to the podcast, I was like, you didn't tell me the steps to grow my infinitely scalable business, you know? They're just like promising me it, right? So yeah, I feel man, I lost my train of thought there. Because I was just thinking about like how bad that was. But yeah, if you if you are constantly if you're constantly looking if you're constantly looking as money as the benchmark, then you're not going to find the true answers. You have to look at the way somebody's living their life. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if I okay, here. If I want to learn how to be in a good relationship, okay, I'm not going to listen to a podcast about somebody who's preaching to me, if you just buy my book, you'll learn how to be in a good relationship.
Sure.
I'm going to look
Yeah.
at the person who has a good relationship. I'm like, hey, dude, how'd you do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's how I personally filter my information. It's like, do you have something that I see that I want to exemplify?
Right.
And I think that that's the missing piece in this whole thing. It's like in the cults people, you know, like when they're like, oh, twin flames, you'll have the best relationship of your life, right? Well, what is your relationship like with your partner right now?
Mm-hmm.
And also realize that that's only a glimpse of what I get to see. I don't get to see the whole thing.
Right.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
here?
Yeah. It's not just the surface level. It's also like how you live, like everything about you. Right. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what should make you an authority figure.
Mm-hmm.
Like exemplarship. You have to walk the walk.
Yeah.
Not just talk the talk.
Yeah, exactly. If you're preaching something, you should be doing what you're saying. Like depending on what you're saying. Yeah. So if you're not following that itself, right?
Yes.
Then that comes into question. What you're saying.
Yes. 100%. 100%. And I think that like because jiu-jitsu is the most salient example, like the reason why I like jiu-jitsu so much is it's aside from like it being a physical activity and all the benefits, blah blah blah. It's either it worked or it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You can give me all of the sales pitches, right? You're like, no, if you just hold them in this position and then you flip over them, you know, because we do drills, right? Basically, we do like step by step breakdowns of the move, and then we drill the move.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but in my head, every time I look at a drill, I'm like, have you pulled this off before?
Right.
before you teach me the drill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And not to toot my own horn, but certain people that I like train with, I don't really like to teach anymore. It's like too many strings attached to that until we get Scarborough Soldier Club. But there's always this like there's always this like click in people's mind that I train with, and there's like, oh, this is like the best lesson I ever had. Not to toot my own horn, but they always say that, right? And I'm like, because I'm showing you what I do,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm letting you feel what I do, right? I'm not like, there are so many people that are like, first go to A, then go to B, then go to C, and then you got the win, right? But unless, like, that's knowledge, but unless you execute it, then you don't have like the experience paired with the knowledge,
Sure.
right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like the reason why they're like, oh my god, they're so sick, is because it's like, I will only show you something that I know works because I'm pairing knowledge plus experience. Why would I teach you something that's fake? And then for them, because I'm tiny, right? So if I can make it work, they can make it work, right? So like that's why I like jujitsu, because it's like, it's true or it's not.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you go outside of jujitsu, you go into the world of like theory.
Sure.
It's like, that's all we're playing in. Theory is just imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where marketers can hijack the system. If I make you think I'm an authority figure, if I have a big following, if I have like a lot of like likes on something, oh, he must know what he's talking about. I was like, do I know what I'm talking about?
Sure. Yeah.
Use your critical mind. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And I've run into that quite a bit as a marketer. Like my cousin was like, shout out you, if you remember who you are. He was like, hey man, you have a huge following. Well, not huge, but like you have like a bigger following than most people, right? I was like, oh, it's fake. Don't worry, it's fake. Don't worry, don't listen to that stuff, you know. And then like even Tara was like, oh, I saw you, all these people like your name. Like, it's fake. Don't worry. Like, I don't, even if it's real, I don't believe it, because to me, I'm just putting out that content because I find value in that content. And if you find value too, cool. If you don't, whatever, right? But you need all those signals, those peacocking moments to make other people believe.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like, how warped is that? As like, you couldn't just listen to me? Like, I knew as a marketer, I'm like, I need to do these things. I have to. If I had like 0 followers and like, 10 million people I'm following, and I just kept posting content, who would listen? Right?
Right.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Right? No, but like really though, like that's crazy. It's the package. You have to package it nicely.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Agree? Disagree? What are
No, I agree. But that's the world of social media. It's just
totally, and that's why I think it's the most fun place to spend time, because it's not real. It's like you can make whatever you want to believe real. I could take so many photos of me like making you think I'm rich.
Sure.
But I'm not rich.
Yeah.
I can make you think.
But how many times is that? That's happened so many times, right? You can.
That, and then you find out it's fake, and you're like, oh, bro. Remember Liver King? He's like so jacked. He's like, yo, I only eat natural stuff. And then you find out he's on steroids. You're like, well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a problem.